Welcome back. We are live. We are still here 6 months later. The Built on Air podcast is back. Good to be with you. Myself, Dan Fellers, Ali Alosa, and Camille Parks are all back together again and excited for a new season. This is what I call the GOAT season. It's season 23. If you want to know where I stand on LeBron versus Jordan. So let's start.
Good to know.
Yeah. I am a child of the 90s, so Jordan is my era. Well, we are good, excited to be back with you and go through it. We are changing things a little bit. I'll walk through kind of our new format. One of the reasons why I decided to kind of take a break, a lot of things. Things just got busy at work. I was engaged in a very large enterprise rollout with a client, and it was awesome. I got back into building directly in Airtable. I hadn't been doing that as much previously, and so I feel like I'm very much back in the weeds and know the ins and outs of Airtable, and so that's exciting. A lot more I can share throughout the season of things, but anyways, it was very busy, demanding, and that was a big part of it. And then just kind of changes in strategy and where my focus was. But it's a new year. I'm recommitted to spending time with Built on Air as well as with our primary sponsor Onto Air and focusing on those. And so I reached out to Ali and Camille. I was like, let's do it. They were all on board, excited. And so here we are. So one thing that is going to change, we're going to kind of focus in and be more specific on each episode. And so instead of doing maybe a full hour worth of in the past, we had 4 segments per show. We're now just going to focus and just do one thing each week. That'll allow us to spend more time on it and be a little bit easier to manage and coordinate everything. And so that was one of the other things is the production side of getting the show together was taking a bit more time. So with this change in focus, I think it'll be a little bit easier to manage. And I think better, it'll allow us to go deeper in each topic. So the general format is the first of each month, we're going to give an update on all the latest things. This one will be a bit more extensive because we've been off for 6 months, but we'll do a monthly round the bases and talk about all the latest news and updates and new features and things like that. Then we'll do 2 weeks of deep diving into a product demo or highlight a feature or showcase something that one of us have built and just go spend more time really showcasing the ins and out of the use case and demo. And then the last one of the month, we'll bring somebody on and do a guest highlight and showcase what somebody in the community has built. So if that's you, we'd love to hear from you. We have not filled out our roster yet for this season, but we'll keep it the same format. We'll do 8 weeks straight, and then we'll take a month off. So we'll be 2 months on, 1 month off on this new format. So we'll repeat it each month. The four shows will repeat twice for the season. So that's the new format. And with that, and we're transitioning because of the change things. Some things broke in the Airtable environment. Haven't had time to rebuild it. That'll be a focus for this year as well, is kind of reimagine some of the assets that we use for the show and things like that. So we're kind of going casual today. I don't have all the segment slides and everything, so we're going to keep it nice and casual for today's show. But yeah, any updates on your guys' end? What you guys been up to the last 6 months?
Complaining into the void about Airtable.
Yeah, it's an ongoing. That's a daily topic.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've also been really excited about a lot of the updates though. But outside of Airtable, my son turned 2, which is crazy. And yeah, that's really the biggest life update on my end. But yeah.
Camille,
And we
Camille
were
moved.
saying earlier that we saw each other again at Dare Table in Chicago. That's always fun. Yeah.
And saw a lot of people that are watching, I'm sure,
Yeah.
as well. It was awesome it's always great to connect with everybody at Dare Table. Really fun stuff.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah. So yeah, on my end, on personal life, you'll see a different background. I moved. I decided to I've got 4 kids. 2 of them are in college now. And so I only have 2 still at home. And so we have a little bit more space at the house. So I decided to partition one of the rooms into my office. And so now I work from home as of yesterday. Yesterday was my first day kind of setting up. I still have a lot to clean up and set up. But so yeah, that was a big change after having worked in an office outside the house for 10 plus years. Doing that. Part of it is because my oldest is engaged and now I got to pay for a wedding. And so, yeah, so that'll be in May. We've got a wedding coming up. So
that's soon.
We get my eldest daughter.
Yay.
So yeah, that's exciting. We like her fiance, so that's good.
Very good. You're going to use Airtable to help her plan the wedding?
I told her to. I told her she needs to. She's interned for me over the years, so she's familiar with it. So we'll see if she does or not. Yeah. Cool. Well, let's get started. So I thought I would, let me share my screen. Forgotten how to do this. It's been so long.
It's been so long.
I know. And no, it's not working. Okay, that will work. Okay, then we want to go to this format. Is it not showing? It's not showing. Why are you not showing? Shoot.
Yeah, it like moved as though it was about to start showing something and then just didn't.
Yeah.
Black it screen. Says it's sharing. I didn't. Let me see. The browser. Try capturing different screen. I think I know why. Hold on, just a second.
No problem. There's a big long list of what's new to go over, which is exciting.
It felt almost like they waited until we stopped the show to be like, okay, let's introduce everything.
I may drop out for just a second. So
all right, okay. We can chat about all the new stuff. Get us started. They basically released like so many things that people have been asking for years, like from the beginning, like several big ticket items, which are super exciting.
There's a couple, and the kind of sad thing is one of the ones I was most excited about is a little buggy. At least it is right now. I'm sure they're going to address the sort of jankiness of it, but for me, it was the like nested conditions in an automation where you can have a loop inside of a condition or the other way around. That's been so helpful, especially since the cap for automations is still 50. So you get to, be a little bit more advanced while staying in Airtable and not using a third party.
Absolutely. Or you having to use a script,
right?
Which is generally my only option if I need to do that. And now I can use the built-in tools, which is awesome. One thing that Russ pointed out is you can't do a loop inside a loop, which would be incredibly useful. Maybe someday. Yay!
Yeah.
See your screen.
It is working, but only if I share a single tab, which is crazy. So I'm gonna have to put all the URLs into the single tab. So we'll make that work.
Interesting.
Cool. Well, anyways, let's get started. So yeah, around the bases, get you up to date on everything going on. So I thought I'd start. This is a tweet from Howie Liu, CEO of Airtable, back in June, which is around the time we ended. And he kind of set the stage and basically decided to do a relaunch of Airtable as the AI native app platform. I don't know if you remember this big announcement that Airtable made. I think this is when there was that. This was when we were in LA, I think is when they announced this. Is that right? Is that what you remember? At the LA conference for Airtable.
That sounds right.
But anyway, so it kind of like sets the stage of like Airtable really trying to be an AI platform. And, you know, I wouldn't call it a relaunch of Airtable, although that's kind of the wording that Howie uses here and they kind of use in their marketing. They definitely have added more. I think there's still room to go. But general sense of like where Airtable and AI fit together. What are your kind of thoughts the last year or so of Airtable's evolution?
It's gotten so much better.
Like, it has, and they just added to the What's New page even more AI of like, you can now search using Omni in like the regular search capabilities. So they're adding it to more and more places throughout the product, so it doesn't feel such like a one-off little feature over here. It's everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have really enjoyed seeing a lot of the places that they're putting it. Like there's on interfaces, you can have a button now, like Open Omni with a prompt already put into it, which I find really interesting. There's a lot of cool things you can do with that. But I also have found it really annoying in other cases. Like now when you click on like even if it's a formula field, like in a cell, the output of a formula text, the little thing that comes up, it's like rewrite with Omni. And I'm like, you can't rewrite the output of a formula unless I'm like, it just doesn't make sense there. So,
yeah,
but yeah. Still exciting stuff in a way, I think.
Yeah, and we'll dig into the specific features throughout this episode. But yeah, overall, I mean, I think everybody, you know, I think every software company is kind of going through this evolution of what does it mean to be AI native. Yeah, but so it is kind of interesting. All right, we got one more. This one's on the technical side. This is from the Airtable engineering blog. I always like to see when they post on here. We won't get into the weeds. This is very technical. How we reduced archive storage costs by 100x and saved millions. Now, hopefully they reduce prices for customers to take advantage of the millions they saved.
That would be nice.
Yeah. But if you'd like to know the underworking of how Airtable is built under the hood, this kind of pulls back the curtain a little bit. And I just kind of skimmed through it. I didn't read all of it. I'm not as familiar with some of these technologies, but always kind of interesting to get the behind the scenes.
Yeah, I attempted to read this and I didn't understand it, but it was interesting, especially since they kind of call out that in addition to storing your data, you know, that you can see pretty readily, think of all the other things that Airtable needs to keep track of for you, like the revision history and snapshots and all of that data. And I think that's largely or a lot of what they mean by archive storage, not like your base. It's everything underneath your base that keeps it sort of running in the background. So that's a lot of information, especially since like, if you think about if you're on an enterprise, the maximum record, I think is like 500,000. And if you're at that limit and you have 30 snapshots that are at that limit, they still have to store all that data until your snapshot expires. So it's just a lot of data to even consider for a single customer, and interesting to kind of vaguely understand how they modified stuff.
Yeah.
So, all right, next one. Okay, this is one. Another thing that happened while we were away was an Airtable community-led hackathon. I think, Ali, you were a judge. Camille, were you a judge?
I sure was.
Okay, tell us
and
about
Ben Green was also a judge.
Yeah, and Ben Green. Tell us about this.
Very fun.
Yes, it was incredible. We had a ton of amazing submissions. Like that was just the coolest thing to me, was being like going through all of them. So thank you to everybody who put the time in to submit something. Like I had so much fun looking at all of those. And thank you to Mike Simmons, who really was the brains behind putting all of this together with Automatic Nation. Really, really cool idea. And we probably will do it again in the future. But there were a lot of really cool custom interfaces, lots of AI, a ton of games.
I was going to say multiple people built whole functioning games as part of their submission. And like this was difficult because there were multiple awards given as part of the hackathon, but Allie, myself, and Ben Green were judging for just one of the awards, which we could only give to one submission. And like, we had to do a rating system and then do a top 3 and then discuss. It was like not easy to pick which of the many, many submissions really sort of packed the biggest punch overall. There were so many that were like good ideas and so many that were like very good Airtable implementations. And Benefit Bridge, which is the one that we selected, was the best of both worlds. It was like a really good cause that was using Airtable, and it was largely just Airtable and not like use these 10 other tools to build something good. It was like, here's what you could do in Airtable and, make something that benefits your community.
Their video was really well put together as well. It was like a really good showcase of exactly what their interface does. And everything. There were just so many cool ones.
So Airtable voted on one for AI, and then this was the kind of community most likes, and then this was the one that you guys chose.
Yeah.
Erica came very close to sweeping. She was really, I really loved her submission as well. She had those Omni buttons to like help her create workout plans, and like it was really cool.
All of the submissions, you can watch the creators of each of them. They have like a demo video on YouTube where Dan is sort of highlighting right now on screen. I would highly recommend, you don't maybe have to watch all of them, but like read through some of the descriptions and then watch the videos. They're all, 5 minutes or shorter. Some of them are really like, honestly, Greg the Virtual Frog was so like funny. My personal favorite.
I loved that one.
It's like, it was just some of these were just really like, I would never have thought to do this. But they did it.
Rob's Thanksgiving turkey tracker was good too. That was a fun one. I also really loved, I believe Walker Milhone was his name. It was towards the top. It was a cattle ranch.
Yep.
Large scale ranch management. That one was wild. Like very, very cool. I could go on and on. Literally, I could say something great about all of them.
Just high quality all around.
Yes.
And these are just great ways to learn. Yeah, like you'll learn how people set things up and get good ideas. So always good to review real world use cases.
Yeah. I think before we were on, we were talking about custom interfaces. And if you want to see someone going ham on a custom interface, watch the Recipe for Disaster one where they built D&D and it does not look like Airtable.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's so cool. The colors are like,
yeah. I was like, what is this?
Very cool.
Yes.
Okay, maybe we'll have to reach out to some of these to come on the show and show what they built.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We have had a couple of them on as guests before, including Andres Villaveses. His architecture one was very cool.
Yes.
Cool. Awesome. And it looks like they're going to do it again in March.
Yay.
Maybe. Okay. So another hackathon coming in a few months. So start getting ready. All right. With that, let's start talking about some new features in Airtable that have come out. So a lot of these might feel like they've been around forever, but we're going to kind of talk through some of them that first I'm going to highlight the ones that people found in the Built on Air community and posted kind of before they were announced. I guess we're starting with mine. I didn't intend that, but I remember, one day I was like, holy cow, this is new. This show display name instead of primary field. And then you can pick the field. And I think we'll talk, we'll go deep into this. Maybe we'll even show it. Because I know, Camille, you've got some opinions on this. But yeah, I was like, wow, that I know people have been wanting this for years, and the ramifications of it are big. I haven't fully fleshed out the extent of what this means. So that was a big one. I got a lot of interest there as well.
That is crazy. Yeah, I haven't even tried it yet. Just like, I don't know. I feel like I have so many questions about it that I haven't had the time to try and answer yet. So.
Yeah. Okay. There's another one. Actually, I think I can.
Garrett in the chat asked how to find the community hackathon link. And that's just hackathon.airtabletemplate.com.
Yep. You can put it in there.
Yes.
There we go. Okay. Let's get the next one. Oh, wrong one. Sorry.
In the meantime, I appreciate Ben Bailey's excellent gift choice.
Oh, yes.
Dang it. It opened up. Okay, I got to find them. They're in here.
And whatever you're pulling up is probably Ben Bailey's discovery. It's him and Russ in our Built on Air community are the two that tend to find things first.
Yeah. Okay, there's one from Camille.
Oh, what?
The improvement that came
Never mind.
Tabs for detail pages. The title field remains sticky at the top of the header.
Yes.
You won't lose track.
We aren't seeing that on the screen, just so you know.
Oh, you're not? Okay.
Yeah, but this one, I forgot about this one because this one was one of the ones that was silently announced. It's one of my favorite like little updates because for the longest time, the original side sheets and detail pages, they would have the ability to have a sticky header where you could put anything in there. And then the newer version of detail pages were slowly but surely improved in practically every capacity that like surpassed the original, except you couldn't figure out what record you were on if you had a very long detail page. And where I work, we often did. And one day I just scrolled down and I was like, oh my God, it's time. So it's still not, you still can't put anything and everything in that sticky header like you used to be able to, but the name of the record, and if you have a button that's at the very, very top, those buttons go down with you. So
that's awesome.
Pretty nice.
Yep. Yeah, and I don't think that shows up there. Yeah. Okay, let's do this one. Okay, here's one from Russ. These minor controls to be able to set the this is in interfaces. I'm not sure about this one. What is?
Because it's just on 2 lines versus how tall you can make it. So this example feels a little silly, but it is like.
Gotcha. So this is like a short view, and this is the extra tall.
Yeah. This is one of the ones, the height of the headers, I think has been requested since, if not day one, pretty close to day one of Airtable's existence. And I never thought I'd see the day because so long had passed, and they redesigned the grid view twice in the time that I've been an Airtable user, and they didn't do it. So I was like, okay, it's never going to happen. And then they did it. Very useful.
It is very, I do find it very useful, but I also have found it a little annoying to get used to if you're on the data layer in the grid. If you're clicking, I often am clicking on the header, like highlight pull, and then it does this, and then all of a sudden everything. I'm like, ah!
Yeah.
Yeah, or I'm trying to like double click it to go into edit mode, but it makes it bigger. Yep.
Yep.
But
yeah. So this one is at the interface level, right? And it's kind of interesting. You can't set this in the edit mode. This is for the user to pick.
Yeah.
So
you can set the default,
yeah,
and the end user can adjust it on their end. This one was useful. It wasn't necessarily one of the ones that I was like looking for necessarily, but it has since come up with some of my stakeholders. So, this is also another appreciated change.
Yeah, I like that. Budget quantity is a perfect example for me, where it's like ordinarily you'd have to have that super wide with a small number in it, and that would really bother me. So now I'm excited about it.
I distinctly remember I had a stakeholder who I built a couple of interfaces for them, all the same project. Let's just call it 20 pages or so, several grids. And they were like, okay, can you make the default width of all these columns as narrow as possible, just so I could see as much data as possible? And I was like, it's going to cut off all the names of your columns. And he was like, I'll have to deal with it. And now he can know what column he's looking at without hovering and waiting for the tooltip. So very, very helpful.
Yeah. Also the wrap header features, that's very nice as well.
Yep.
Absolutely. Love it.
All right. Okay, next one. So this is Airtable's announcement that they now have the ability to have a ChatGPT, add-on, I think they call them, that will talk to your Airtable environment. You have to configure it in ChatGPT, and it will be able to pull data from your Airtable base and use that as part of your chat experience. Any of you tried that yet?
I haven't.
Nope.
I haven't either.
I could see it being useful for like maybe for big teams in particular. If you're like, hey, when was the last time this project was updated, or like whatever, just asking ChatGPT. But I don't. Yeah.
Chat with your data is a pretty big selling point, I think, for a lot of people. And it's interesting because Airtable I think after this one was released, added a bunch of things to Omni that would be the thing I would suspect you would use this for, the ChatGPT extension. But of course, Omni can only look at Airtable, and ChatGPT could look at a bunch of other things as well. So it's really like, well, how much are you trying to do in your use case? And that will determine which one you use.
Yeah.
Love to do an experiment to ask them both the same question and see which one's more accurate. I've found Omni to be sometimes not accurate at all about my own data. And I'm like, but we'll see.
Yeah, that would be interesting. So yeah, if you used it, let us know what your experience is with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, now let's go through, refresh this page. Let's go through all the what's new. Maybe, should we start most recent? Start most recent.
Yeah, I kind of alluded to this one earlier of like in search and filters, those are now Omni enabled. So you can in a sentence, what are you trying to see? And Omni will try and build a filter for it. This one was released I think yesterday or something. So I haven't been able to use it personally, but it seems like it'd be pretty good for, who I would call my stakeholders, or for consultants who you would call your end users, just people who are not used to or don't like building filters in Airtable. Just describe in a sentence what you want, and this feature is supposed to be able to replicate that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. For me, I think it's like a foray into, the thing that's changing about software is WYSIWYG, drag and drop to do everything, to now being prompt based. And this is kind of a foray to bridge that gap where you could do it either way. And I think eventually more and more, adding fields and everything else is going to potentially be prompt driven. So we'll just see this evolution, and this is kind of just one easy spot they could start with.
I feel like more and more people are going to just be talking to their computers, because it's just going to be, it's like not easy to type all these prompts out. Like dictation is going to be way more of a big thing in the future.
I've already moved to just, when I'm at home, it's all dictation. I don't want to type.
Yep.
I use the dictation on ChatGPT directly a lot, but that's about it.
Yeah, and if you guys use Whisper Flow, it's pretty cool.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I'm starting to adopt that more and more. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, everything is going to be voice activated and driven. Okay, next one. Display names. Okay, so we talked about this. So display name. So yeah, tell us, Camille, what your experience has been.
So this is a great idea, a little bit poorly executed. And I say that
half-baked.
A little bit. I know Airtable would never, right? Such a surprise. But yeah, I've just noticed that it's a little bit, you wouldn't expect, or at least I wouldn't expect some of the outcomes I've seen. Like it does as says, right? That's not the part that's buggy, but like there's a little bit of difference now when you're copying and pasting into a linked record field. Before you could do the record ID or the primary field. Now it's the record ID or whatever is your display field. And if you use, like I've noticed that it's possible to accidentally create new records, even though they match the either the primary field or the codename field when you're doing that, copying and pasting. And I've also noticed that if you copy and paste the primary field into a linked record field and you have a different display field, or the other way around, it will like lock your field to now use the other field as the display field until you clear out that linked record and then relink it. It's like it gets stuck, which I don't think is intended behavior, because you told the field to display a specific name and it won't until you clear it out and start over. And then the way this works in automations, you have to remember that what you paste into the field has to be, or should be, ideally the record ID, but if not, the display field. And there's no indicator that that record or that field is different.
Right.
Like ideally in Airtable, I get third parties not being able to show you this as easily, but in Airtable, in an automation, ideally there'd be some kind of like adjustment they would make to the language they give you of like the display field is X, Y, or Z, because you can have 10 linked record fields all linked to the same table and maybe only one of them has a different display field, or they all have a different display field and you have to keep track of that in your head.
Yeah, these are the questions that, thank you, that I was wondering about. Like, so in that example of that screenshot there, could you take the value that's showing under Jane Smith, the TT2398, blah, blah, blah. Could you copy that and paste it into the row below and have Jane Smith show up?
I have a demo that like I can switch to if we want to just see this feature in action, just because it is possible that in the time between I told Dan, hey, there's a lot of stuff I have to talk about this feature, they might have fixed it. So in their defense, maybe they fixed it. But in this example, context table, you have a unique ID of some sort for everybody that's not pretty, and you have what their names are. And then I'm just going to create a couple records, and it's still saving. God, my internet.
Airtable was down yesterday. Quite a bit.
Great to hear. This is what your experience is like normal, where I haven't made any adjustments to my linked record field. I see the primary field show up and not, the prettier field that I want. So I can go in and change it to be a different field. This is only going to let you select like strings, and I think you can still do numbers, but no arrays, obviously not the attachment field.
Formulas?
Was that formulas?
Yeah. Can you do
Yeah,
formulas?
you can do formulas. But it has to return like a string or a number. Dates you can do as well. Just not, basically no arrays and no attachments. So
whatever could go in the primary field.
Yes.
Cool.
So that's still the same. Like the underlying limitations are probably still the same. If I make that adjustment, well, now I see my name up at the top, which is great for like your basic user experience. I'm going to say, do that. But what's a little bizarre is like how this works. I'm just now remembering what my biggest problem was. I had a use case where we needed to have a form that was shown to external users. And it was very important that they not see the, like, in this case, the unique ID. We couldn't turn it off. So ideally, you would just do, okay, I'm going to hide all of these fields so that when the user uses the form, they only see the name. You'll notice that unique ID is still here. It won't let you take that away. So you have to go to pills, which is, now you can't see it, but I don't want to use pills. There were fields that I wanted to display on the form that I couldn't because it would always show the primary field, which was supposed to be hidden. So there's specific little things like that. And then one of the bigger pieces, and I'm going to do this really, really fast, but for me, again, if you're going under the assumption that you're showing people this is the name of the contact, if you try and add a filter, that filter reads the primary field. Like it doesn't recognize that everyone knows Camille as 1000 ABC and not Camille. So like, I know that that will work, but if I hand this off to somebody else, they're going to be like, I don't know how to filter this.
Yeah.
So there's specific things about how this is implemented throughout the product where in some cases it's a little bit buggy, and some cases this isn't a bug, but this is confusing. And I would prefer if I had a filter that it recognized. Airtable knows that I've changed this setting. So show that to me everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I wonder, it's interesting that they chose to do this at a linked record field level. So you could do this on one table, but not on another. Like if you had two tables that are linking to contacts, you could configure this on one of the linked record fields and not on the other one.
Yeah, all of them could have different display fields. So maybe they were leaning towards flexibility, but if you've ever used hyperdbs have a similar sort of setup, but in my opinion, better implemented because it's globally for the table as a whole, what is the unique ID field and what is the display field? And so everywhere you would have a filter, you would see the display field. So
exactly
this is like, yeah, it's a little bit of mismatch of how they've kind of operated.
Like I could see why they chose to make, because it does make it more flexible, and maybe there's like tables that are more for utilities that you want it to show the actual primary key or whatever, but it does make it a little more confusing because then it's like you kind of have to remember which field you're using for what.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for sharing that.
That it's a little discouraging of using that. It's almost like it works at the data layer, but not at the interface layer.
Yeah.
Which is surprising.
Right.
All right, let's keep going. Okay, let's see. This is a big one. Automation's nested. I got access to this through the beta and for months before it went live, and I forgot that it wasn't life for everyone. And so when this was announced, I was like, oh yeah, I can't live without this anymore.
I feel like the week it became available for me, it was flawless. And then something happened. And now if you drag and drop, good luck, you will get an error that will make you refresh your page,
Yep.
at least for me. So
Yep.
I don't know what happened, but there was a week of bliss where everything was perfect. It does still work. Like all of the animations I set up with this feature haven't been failing unless, they would have failed anyway without this feature. But the drag and drop experience, there's some going on there. But aside from that, because I'm sure they're going to fix it, this overall might be like, it might take the cake out of all of the recent improvements. It's just so useful.
Yeah.
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 I wish it would go even further because you can only go there's one scenario. Can't remember if it's the loop first versus conditional, but there's one scenario. So you can loop and then you can do a conditional. I think in one variation, you can actually go like a third level. I feel like I saw that.
I don't remember, but you can do a condition inside a condition, and it only goes one layer deep. You can't like keep doing that. So condition inside a condition. You can do a condition inside of a loop, which is what's pictured here. And then you can do a condition, and one of those conditions can have a loop. Now that's the part that upsets me. You can't have a loop for each condition,
Right.
which to me doesn't make sense because only one of them would run per automation run. Don't know why they did that, but
that's probably where I saw it. Yeah.
That's where how they've implemented. So if they fix the drag and drop, I would be fine with a lot of my use cases, but I would like to see it be a little bit more, I hate to say complete because it is pretty good as is, but if each condition could have its own loop, that'd be great. And if they really love us, they'd give us loops inside of loops.
Yep. And one last thing I would really love is I want to be able to have a like ending step after the loop is done. Like do the whole loop and then go update the record that started everything.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
One of these days I might do a demo, one of my workarounds that I've done for that exact thing of I need to mark something as complete, but only after everything else is done.
Yeah.
And you can do it, but it's not easy, or not as easy as it should be. And some of this also would have been solved if, find record step is, I think, one of the last places in Airtable where you can put a filter, but not a filter condition group.
Yeah.
So I could have solved a lot of my problems if they just let me have a more complicated find record step. But until then,
that's frustrating to me too. I often end up using a script or a formula to like be like, okay, if that's that, But
I was thinking it would also be nice to know the index of the loop.
Yes.
But
they do run simultaneous.
They do.
Right? Yeah.
I one time went through all the time of setting that up, and then it was like, okay, is this the last one? And then it was like, oh, well, that one ran first, so that doesn't make any sense. They all just run at the same time.
I've resorted to timestamps.
Yeah, that could work. Okay, so this one's let's see. Comment threads can get long. So we've upgraded our comment summarize feature. Instead of getting a generic summary, now you can ask our AI assistant. So basically now Omni can read through the comments.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys heavily use comments. We kind of avoid them just because they're not well implemented.
I just ran into something yesterday where the same kind of issue that's been brought up previously. If one person has access to interface A, the other person has access to interface B, they both comment on a record, and the like alert email they get doesn't know where to put them.
Yeah.
So we don't use comments as much as we could. So this this feature, I don't know if I'm personally going to use it, but I do agree with the person you just highlighted of sequential loops would be awesome for automation.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Alicia. Totally agree with that.
Very true. Okay, more Omni. So they added some more buttons to Omni. So just kind of some helper pre ideas you could do.
This is the one that Ali alluded to earlier. This one, although I'm not like a big Omni user, I think this one is a very, very good idea. In the same way that a button could trigger a specific automation, this will trigger a specific prompt to Omni. So you don't have to like write the same prompt every single time. So pretty nice, and just adding on to what buttons can do in interfaces.
That's
cool. Help your users guide them through like, what they're supposed to do, which would be cool.
Yeah. No, that is cool. I haven't seen that one. Sync and edit self-linked records across bases.
Yep.
This was funny. This was released literally. I so rarely use self-linked records, but in the one use case that I was using them, I happened to sync them into another base one day. And I was like, oh yeah, I can't use the new linked record sync feature because it's the self-linking table. And then the next day I go in and I saw the little blue dot and I was like, oh, what? And they released, put this up here. I was like, yeah, it's me.
I'm trying to remember. I think it was before our last season when they added the backlink for self-linked.
I think so.
While, right?
Yeah, but it was strange that when they finally added, they added that feature, but it wasn't compatible with editing linked record fields downstream. And I never understood why, because by definition, that the synced table is there. It's the same table. So why, why didn't you start there and do the other one later? But now this is here. So this one is not really like a visual change that you will notice necessarily, but a good feature to bring everything up to speed.
Yeah. That one I was actually found very useful.
Yeah.
Okay. Connect linked records to your data library.
Yeah, so this is now, if you are business or enterprise, when you create a new linked record field, you'll see all of the tables in your base, but then you could also directly link from anything in your data library. So your saved data sets or your HyperDBs, and it will then add that thing as a source or a table in your base if it wasn't already there. This, I can see it being useful, but for me, a lot of the time, I would have brought it in if I needed it anyway. So it's not it would, for me, it would already have been there if I needed it.
Yeah, this is kind of, and how it works, I've used this. I was thinking that you could create a linked record that doesn't actually import the whole table, but when you click on add link, it would show everything there, but it actually does create a sync table. So it's basically just a shortcut to be able to get that synced table into your base.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of a time-saving thing. Web prototype field agents. So field agents, this one's kind of interesting. I don't know that a lot of people were asking for this. They must have had a customer that really wanted this. But so there's a field agent that basically creates a mock-up based off of the data, and saves it as an image.
Interesting.
This one.
Yeah, this one was one of the ones I read it once it was announced, and I was like, well, surely I misunderstood. This doesn't seem like everything we've talked about before, even the stuff I don't use. I'm like, yeah, that's a thing Airtable should do. And this is one where I'm like, why would you do that here?
Yeah,
I don't know if they're trying to compete with the Bolts and of the world, to try to be an AI web builder. Don't think that's how most people would use Airtable.
Yeah, it is interesting.
But, yeah, I'd be curious who's using that feature. form sections. You can now create sections in the form tab to group related field forms together. I think that's supposed to be fields together.
Forms, they're the it's
forms. Gotcha.
Like view sections.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, so to organize your forms.
Yep. Nothing crazy, but useful.
Yep. Custom domains. Okay. So you can get this is for your portal, or is it just for Airtable itself?
This is for, I think its use is more for portals. Like I haven't been able to enable this in my enterprise, but it's one of those things where it's most useful for your portal users. Like if you're in an enterprise anyway, you're fine. Miro doesn't do this. All the other SaaS apps don't really do this. This is more for the people who don't need to know that you're using Airtable in the first place.
Yeah. So yeah, and it's enterprise only.
Yep.
Yeah. Resize and wrap headers in grid and list. We talked about this. Yeah. So you can drag it, or you can also kind of double click to the side, not on the name, and it will
Excel too, kind of like that.
Yeah. And then here's the options. Yeah. So that's there. So we kind of talked about that. Much needed. I know this was like #1 on Scott Rose's wish list that he's maintained for 15 years. Yep. Okay. Tab navigation and record detail page. This was a big one.
Very useful. Like I said earlier, I often have very long detail pages, and being able to jump to them, very nice. I would love it if they were treated as HTML anchor tags, so you could like send someone a direct link to a specific section. But you know, once you're there, it's easy enough to just click on one.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's so many. I have a few complaints about this, but I'm happy to see it. Like it's an improvement, I think.
Yeah.
So I will take it. But there's so many things that I'm like, I wish you could like actually turn it into like have several tabs, have several groups assigned to one tab. And then maybe like pageant, like actually have them on separate pages, just because rather than the scrolling. And then I'm like, I want to be able to give a subheader. Like I want a group, like label a set of fields inside of a group without it being its own group. I don't know. Choices I have to make that I'm like, I hate this, but
it's a table of contents almost.
Yeah.
It's not really tabs.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how I think of it. It's also a little buggy if you have a really long section. You click on it doesn't take you to the right section. It's like if they were anchored,
it doesn't know where to go.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I agree. There's room for improvement, but it's kind of standard. The other thing you'll notice is like a lot of times the first section doesn't have a name, or it just has like a generic name, and you always got to rename it. And then you want to show it so it shows up in the menu.
Yeah.
A couple of things there. Yeah. So hide empty sections by level. Let's see, hide empty sections.
This is if you have a list view. Previously, there was just one setting overall of hiding empty like levels if they didn't have anything linked to it. And now you could say, we'll do that, but only if it's a project and not a task.
Then this is just for the user, it looks like, not at the admin. And can you set this?
I think it's one of the settings that you can set by default and have the end user override on their end.
I thought this is new to me, because I think I was looking at this yesterday and I didn't get it per section. I just had the global one. I'll have to double check if that's not enabled.
So frustrating that you can't do this. That feature doesn't work in a synced table.
Yeah.
Really annoying.
Why?
It just says doesn't work. It says, sorry, this feature does not work.
If the link between the tables is synced. Yeah. So I've had to do a workaround where you create another link and set that up just in there, and then it would work. Yeah.
Go back to the old way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, let's keep moving. We're coming up to the hour. Generate structured data with AI and automations. I was looking at this one.
Before it would output like a big old string, and now you can have it output like a JSON object, which is pretty useful if you're immediately going to pass it to a script, but it's still useful if you're using like the update record step or of conditional logic and all that, because you could specifically target this field must equal this exactly, instead of doing a complicated like, does this blob of text contains?
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. That comes in handy. So you can standardize the output. Because in the past you'd have to like run it through a script and convert it to JSON and then set it as the output object.
I have sometimes when I do that, it will randomly add 3 backticks to the front to like turn it into a code block. And I'm like, stop, don't do that. And it's doing it.
I've had that with AI too, where your prompt is like, this is exactly how I want it, and it still tries to put the mark down. Yeah.
Frustrating.
Okay, push updates to manage bases. So if you use manage bases, now through the admin, you can push it. Although it's not perfect, I use this functionality, and a lot of times it just breaks if you have like linked record or synced tables into the child. It doesn't know how to do those. And so it just error out, and you still have to go into the child and pull the update. So not quite, but it is nice to be able to push from one place. New share dialog. I think this is just a redesigned.
Yeah.
Field agent web image search. Haven't used it, but a cool idea.
Yeah, this one seems more useful to me than the one we talked about before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you can basically, specify it to search the web and pull in data into your fields. Timeline critical path.
This is a like visual enhancement to the timeline view. Useful, but not as much of a game changer as some of the other ones.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. We're kind of getting to the end. Okay. So this is one that's been in beta for a while. App Sandbox. I know, Camille, you're a heavy user of this.
Yeah. It's depending on what you're building, it's either going to be flawless and you're going to wonder why they didn't start with this. And then also depending on what you're building, it's going to be like, wow, why would they do it this way? Why didn't they just use Git? No one knows. But it's like, this is one of those things of if you're in an enterprise, especially, it is so useful, especially when you launch a base and like you hand it off to someone to actually use, and then you have to do a big change that would like interrupt their day-to-day life. Having that as like a draft or like a staging area where you can make all of your structural changes and then push it, it just makes things deployment pretty easy.
Okay. I'm going to pick one more due to time. So admin panel sync. This is really cool. So all of your bases, your interfaces, your workspaces, and your user groups, you can sync into an Airtable base, and it will pull from the admin panel and show up in your base. So all that information, you can do some cool stuff. We've built some cool interfaces with this.
I want them to add automations to the metadata.
Yes.
There's a couple of things that I wish were more discoverable. This would have been a perfect opportunity to do it. This one is pretty useful. We use it for like, we have to onboard external people sometimes, and it's a whole list of things that we have to do. And you never know when someone has accepted their invite, but now you can, because the admin panel sync, you can just say, when a new interface collaborator appears in this base, like do whatever process you need. So it unlocks a lot of like administrative things that are like a pain to manage on your own.
Yeah, very cool. Cool. Let us know what your favorite feature of the last 6 months was and what you're relying on. If there's any that we need to go deeper in. Going forward, this one covered a lot. We'll dig deeper into the fewer that will get announced in the next couple weeks on next month's Around the Bases. So with that, we'll be back next week. We'll do a deep dive, a demo use case that one of us will put together and showcase that. And excited to be back. Hope everybody has a great new year, 2026. And excited to be back with you on the podcast. Take care.
Yay. Thank you.
Yeah.